welcome to Pearls of Wisdom by Pearl Operational Design. My name is Hazel Lord, and I would like to welcome you back if you have subscribed. And if this is new to you, I want to welcome you to our videos that share everything to do with operations. And in recent videos, I talked about the different elements, or what we would call components, of an operation design. This one may seem as if I'm going off the beaten path a little bit, but let's talk about what's been happening. So in a recent Forbes article, it is the 2023 layoff tracker. It gives a timeline for all of the announcements of layoffs that have been happening recently. And while we've been hearing a lot of the layoffs happening in big tech is not the only organization or group of companies that have had challenges. We have seen companies that are in the banking industry most recently. I think everyone has heard about that. We have heard about companies that are retailers, consulting. The layoffs that are happening currently, it does not necessarily discriminate in terms of company, in terms of industry. And we've been given a myriad of reasons why these things have happened. So shifts in the macroeconomic environment. You have organizations that are just pivoting to a business model so that they can position themselves well to seek future opportunities. And these are all things that have been espoused by those organizations. But my question is, when these are said, those people who have been asked to seek opportunities elsewhere, are they fully understanding these reasons? My question is always, where did the operational strategy go wrong? Or I can go a little further back and say, was there an operational strategy? In the recent videos, as I mentioned earlier, I talk about operations design, and in there we talk about all the different components of an operations design. Well, in a strategy, you're looking at all of the elements of an operations and you're making your choices. You're making key decisions on what is it that you will need to do with the resources that you have in order to align or to achieve the business strategy that you have set your sights on or that you have put in place to implement. And what I have found in my journey during the working world is that there are many organizations that have gone out to do strategy. So big think strategies where senior leadership will go and come back with a plan for this is what we would need to do, normally brilliantly done. But there's no follow-up in terms of an operations strategy. So there's always a business strategy and then an operations plan. But as we talked about many of those components or design elements in an operations, you actually need to make some decisions. So when you're making decisions such as a layoff, which is quite a disruptive strategy or quite a disruptive activity for many businesses, my question where I'm saying, where does it go wrong is, has the layoff strategy or has the thinking incorporated all of those elements? In this video, and we try to make it short, I'm going to just talk about two. And the first one is efficiency. We hear a lot of leaders will say that layoffs were done so that the organization may be more efficient. And for some reason, the thinking is that efficiency is about taking out a certain layer in the organization. And I've heard this before. And as someone in my journey as being a part of that senior director or director component in a large organization, I normally see that if the operation strategy is effective, these individuals are dot connectors. They're the ones that are, their role is enabling the connection between the strategy and how then is value realized through to the execution layer. And so many of the reasons given for the staffing readjustment is really to remove what I call that key layer in the organization. That's one focus on efficiency. And in my first video, when I talked about what value is and I talked about what operational effectiveness and efficiency is, and really when you're trying to achieve excellence, this is your goal. Your goal is to achieve operational efficiency and effectiveness. When looking to lay off or looking to do your staffing adjustments, you want to also make sure that you're looking holistically at if you remove certain elements in the organization that are either in roles that connect strategy to execution, that the gap that remains has been filled, either by people who are in the organization who may be at a higher level now having to be those dot connectors, be the ones that take on the roles, but not to overwork the ones that remain at the lower part of the organization. And I will tell you that I'm speaking from experience on this. Being really intentional on the operations strategy when you're looking to do staff readjustments in the name of efficiency. The other thing that I want to talk about is organizational culture. As mentioned, staffing adjustments are disruptive, and being mindful of, for those folks that remain, are you truly doing your best to ensure that they are feeling the values, the lived values that you stand for? We talked about this in the last video. And the reason I say this is because I've been a witness to organization that did a substantial layoff of staff, and in the subsequent day was the ones remained were told, you are now the A team. And I know why that was said. That was said to try and uplift the people that remained, to say, hey, we've kept the best. Here's the challenge with that. Those people that remained have just lost really good friends, colleagues, people who supported and did good work in the organization. So by calling the ones that remained the A team, you're inadvertently calling the ones that left the B team. And maybe they are. I'm not saying that they are. But what I'm saying is being mindful of that narrative and what it will do to your organizational culture. So staff adjustments are real. Layoffs happen. Business models have to pivot. But my message here is ensure that as you're thinking through that pivot, that you're looking at all of the aspects of your operational strategy, not just about being efficient, but being effective as well, and making sure that with the removal of some of those individuals, that you do remain an effective organization in delivering the value to your customers. And then, of course, remembering that it is also very disruptive for your organization culture. So you really want to make sure that as part of this strategy, that you're also putting at the fore the ability to nurture that org culture so that those who remain feel that they are having the lived experience of your values. I hope that you found this content interesting. And if you did, please remember, share the knowledge. Thank you. Until next time.